And what did you learn at school that is helping you right now in your career? So sir, if you can, the senior most person.
I am basically a people's man. I take care of personal management and human resource, right? And in the industry for around 30 odd years, worked with companies like Siemens, SR, Reliance, offshoot of Microsoft. And presently I've been taking care of the 1,000 crore company. They are into making the buildings, highways, factories, irrigation, drinking water. It's a large number. When I was in school, I was not aware what to do, what not to do. Right? Because you don't know, those days people were not aware. The only thing is which we have learned and which we have seen, either you become an engineer or become a doctor. These are the two things, and unfortunately, fortunately, it still exists in the minds of the children and their parents. Right? We never thought of something else. But when I went to college, I was an average student, and my parents saw a dream that they wanted to make me engineer. But I have understood I am not that material, I can do that, right? So I have chosen different kind of a profession, which I'll tell you. I will do something which is different. So this was my, thought process.
Yeah, so the journey for me was pretty simple. Came from a really humble background, born and brought up in the same area itself in Bangalore. School for me, many things I did, many things I couldn't do. But very simply put, it was hard work. For me and I think many others who are sitting here, you have to study. There is no other option. Hardship is what I came through. There is no second chance for people like me. Yes, after that I did my engineering. With my engineering, I used to play a game in my time called Counter-Strike. Even today, after having 2 kids, I find time to play PUBG. My parents were like, okay, but beta tu ye karke na paise nahi kama payega. Chalo theek hai. Then I did my MBA from IIM Indore. Worked for more than 10 years. My expertise is in the software space, so I have a patent on the smartphone also. Went to US and worked there also. Within this time period, I was passionate about writing, so I wrote my first book, my only book rather. The second one, and that is pending. And it sold 1,500 copies, as Srinidhi spoke about Untamed Origins, the fiction book. And it's still doing well. But what I understood is, with life going forward, money becomes more and more important. When we are students and when our parents are telling us about it, it is not important because we are protected. But once that layer is not there, it is important. So I started with my first company, Finance Peer Leo 1. Did earn good amount of wealth, but somewhere my passion was calling for me. So I got an opportunity to start my gaming company. And I think that is what I'm eventually doing. So not that I'm playing games at the company now, but yes, so gaming company is what I'm doing, GameCode. And I'm going to take this way larger. And I think what I've learned from school, from my college time throughout is just one simple thing. There is no shortcut. If you want to be exceptional, you have to work exceptionally hard. That's it.
Good evening. So actually I'm an architect by education, and making buildings was my first love, and I actually chose that. So it was completely against any kind of scientific knowledge where I was told not to do architecture, you are a good engineer. So I went against all of that advice and I did my architecture. Absolutely loved working as an architect. We were largely into getting government approvals for buildings and designing them and things like that. Then wanted to pivot into becoming a developer. So currently my role within our firm is to manage the designing, the construction, and also some bit of legal and finances. The last part of it, by the way, is absolutely something that the education does not teach you. how to manage a business, whether it is a taxation or a GST or things like that. That is something that absolutely is missing from education. However, important two things that I feel that the education gave me was, one was discipline. Whether it is submission on time or kind of quality of work, that is an important thing that a professional course gives you. So that was the first thing that I like. And the second thing is the critical thinking that a professional course gives you. Whether you are able to solve problems, whether you're able to identify problems, those are the kind of important things that I take from education. However, I mean, education for me is a shortcut to gaining more knowledge. Over the last 10 years, whenever I found that there is a problem and there is a course that can solve this problem for me, or I can get more knowledgeable from this particular course, I've done that. So for example, after that, after a few years into the practice, I went and did my master's in construction project management. Then after a few years, I did green building consultancy courses. And just during COVID, I did my finance management from Wellington. So for me, education is more like a shortcut to get knowledge easier, which I would have otherwise gotten because of the experience. So that's the kind of thought process that I have on education.
Hi guys. So I have just directed a film now, and I think when it comes to education, my school life was pretty vanilla. Like, it was nothing great. So I come from a family of 26 CAs. So that was always sort of the benchmark. This is what you have to do. This is what will get you wherever you want to be in life. But the thing was that I always wanted to tell stories, and that is the only thing I remember out of my school years. That struggle to find new stories, sit with my friend, run to the libraries. Actually, reading was a big part of my growing up experience, because when it came to results, my dad had a very nice line. He used to say that I'm not angry, I'm disappointed. So with that sort of pressure put on education and studying and getting the right percentage, I think my escape was books. Was a group of friends with whom just discussing stories, what's happening. I used to have this very big DVD of movies, some 500, 700 movies, which actually kind of took me through my 10th standard, 12th standard, and even my CA days. So, and that sort of kept me on back then, and even today, like even after 20-hour day today, I kind of go back home, watch something, kind of take as much information, take as much content, that consumable content, not just some random stuff, but consumable content out there, and kind of try to absorb as much as possible. And yes, I agree with him that education to me, yes, it's absolutely important as far as you are able to apply it to whatever you do, and if it brings you confidence and kind of the aptitude to go about things and have the analytical mindset to go through a lot of tasks in your day-to-day life, including like CA did help me kind of have a very when it came to logistics, have a very sharp mind in terms of optimizing things and stuff like that. So yeah, it does have a direct or an indirect connection to everything you do in your life.
Thank you for those insightful answers. I think what I got from this particular set of answers is that at the core, if we think about it, it's all about what really drives us, our passion. That's something that we can really go behind, and that's something that you guys can think about as well for your careers. My next question is, what are some important things that you think that you got out of high school or college? Some skills that you picked up when you were there, when you were studying, and that is really helping you right now in your career, or in some or the other way, like some skill set that you learned back then. If you want to take this.
So for me, it's a very reverse thing. I think now, looking at the current generation and how things are, I just hope I was confident, extroverted, outgoing back then. Should have taken part in more extracurricular activities. Everything that kind of builds your character. Everything that, like he said, will bring discipline to your life and become your way of life. So those things I kind of, through trial and error, learned in the 30 years of my life. But yeah, I just wish that I could have had that sort of awareness earlier. Then those years would also have been as productive as the later half when I actually found my voice and stuff like that. So yeah, that's that.
For me in high school, like I mentioned, the first thing that we learned was discipline. My school was actually like a military grade kind of discipline school. Cut your nails
Was it a
to-
good thing or a bad thing?
Now in life, yes, it's a good thing because even if I'm not in the mood to do something today and that work has to be done, it has to be done. So a lot of times during your day-to-day work, your emotions don't come into play. So it's important to do that. The other thing that somehow my school taught us and that carried on with us was my school was also never focused on scores, marks. It was more focused on conceptual understanding of things. So that ways we are very grateful to our school where we were able to develop this critical thinking, understand the problem and get a solution for it, rather than knowing what the question is and the answer is before the exam. So that was something that was very good takeaway from my school. What I feel lacking from my school was we didn't have a playground. So yeah, I mean that we have. I was in a school like that. So teamwork, leadership, all of those kinds of soft qualities I feel is what we missed on in school.
Yes, school for me, again, that's right next door. I don't know how many of you know Stanislaus here, nearby? Oh, so yeah, that's my school. Of course, really proud of it. When you're in school or when every child is in school, those set of 50 kids is the world. Okay? And it's important to understand that. You can't expect a child to understand what's outside, how many people are there outside. You need to do so many things outside and skills. So scoring becomes important. Now, the tricky part is that some students make, and some parents and some teachers make scoring everything. It is important, and that's the thing in life. What is important is maybe a higher priority, but it can't be everything. If you just focus on scoring your top A's in all the subjects, and if you are not doing well in physical activities, you are not learning ahead in life. Not that I scored A's everywhere, but yes, the point is scoring is important, but that's the result. What is more important than scoring is putting the right effort. And in life, we always end up counting the results and we always end up discounting the efforts. When things go wrong, we try to see which subjects the marks that we get are low, what can I do there? But guys, what about the subjects where you actually done good? Can you go back and check what things you did right? And that is something that is lacking. Even nowadays in schools, teachers, parents, all of us, we expect to excel in subjects where we are not doing good. And we keep on discounting subjects or areas where we are actually good. Because let's be honest, after school, you have a large life outside. And you are not going to do well. You are not going to become an engineer plus a doctor plus an artist plus an actor plus a politician. That's not possible, right? You'll be doing one to two things mainly in life. So the effort and the process wired in your brain of how you did well in whatever you did, that is something I feel which I have carried. For me, that is hardship. Fortunately, I believe it's a fortune to go through hardship. Never be light, especially on anything that you're doing. Only after you go through hardship, you become valuable. And that's the way I look at it.
For me, school is something which is number, and I have understood clearly that I cannot do 2 plus 2 is 4. So I always try to make, if this is not possible for me, how to make is 2 plus 2, 22. So that was the mantra which I have learned, because I was an average student, and people used to sit in the front and they are very, very favorite of the teacher. Whereas I was reluctant, I was shy and not to speak in the class. But later I realized if I work hard, though I am not intelligent, if I work hard, I will and I can beat most of the people, right? So I try to make it 2 plus 2 is 22. And that is the success mantra for my life when I see me, people like me. And if you see the all across world, the people who are successful, they are in business or they are in services or anything, they are people who are mediocre people in the world. You take anyone in the world, because that part when people are very, very disciplined and focused, when they score very high, they leave other things. But you need a holistic development for your life, right? So I always believe that you should have a holistic approach, and that is the reason those days I have chosen arts. I'm talking to 1980-85. I'm sure most of the people have not been born, this year. I took arts. It was a shame for my parents and for the crowds. And the people who were in my classmates, they used to see me like, shit, he is doing arts. And I am the science student. And believe me, with the grace of God, I have seen after the arts also, the kind of courses which I have chosen, even my parents was not aware. Most of my relatives are not aware what is going to do. So that kick I got, and there is a course called BSW, which is now people are aware. Otherwise, nobody was aware BSW and MSW, and people were feeling what he is going to do with that, right? So that is the kind of learning from the school. Under the pressure and the weak performance and shining, the shy kind of a person, I thought, let me choose a different way. So that click of mine and the hit of in my mind to choose a different way has made me to this level.
Sir, please. So, ma'am, if you can shed a light on the book and also share a few words and the thought behind the book and why you decided to write this along with sir, if you can.
Before we start, I thank you for all of you for coming this show. This is very close to our heart, This title itself, you understand, scoring is boring, So I'm sure after this discussion, you might have a lot of questions which we are ready to answer. But yes.
Scoring is truly good because I faced such situations in my life and with my children also, where I found that they were quite frustrated and despair. There was despair with them, like they had problems with while studying. They had pressure, peer pressure, where we found that in a class of 50 or 60, there were just 5 or 6 students who were really at the top. And rest of the students, we are just like me. I was an average student. Most of us are like that. So we really need to have something with us so that we can achieve something in our life. We have some career path. So it is very much important for us just to not score, but also to build our interpersonal skills, to build our communication skills, to be extrovert, which I was not. So all these things that are really much more important, that we find that the toppers, they really lack, because they are too much engrossed with their studies and like getting good scores and being teachers' favorites, that they really don't grow on their interpersonal skills. For me, that had been the triggering point. We found that our son, my son was very fond of making cars, very small cars. But he was not a material who could crack IIT. So my husband used to be after him, like IIT crack karna hai, pressure mein rehna hai. So that was something like which made us really think about it, whether it was really worth it or not. We found that one of his friends committed suicide because of the pressure of the parents. So that really hurt us.
That triggered us when we saw this. There were 3 incidents which I'll tell you, and which was very shocking for us. Then we decided, let us do something for the kid. The 3 friends, one was my son, another is these 2 friends. One was, he was getting 92%, 93% marks. And their parents are after their life, that they need to be 98 plus. And one day what happened, that before the examination, it is very sad story, he committed suicide. The kind of pressure they had from the parents, that is the one trigger point which we got to write this book. Second was one of his best friend who was the topper in college, in the school. To the extent all the tuition centers like Resonance and IT, blah blah blah, they used to take their photograph and put that this gentleman is coached by us, he got 98%. One day, his parents were keen that he should go to the IT, and I'm sure he would have cracked the IT. One day he met us and said, "Uncle, I want to become a chef."
So that was a turning point. Like parents were really putting on pressure on him to go for IIT and really work towards it.
So when he said,
And
"I want to
definitely
become a
he would have
chef,"
cracked it. Definitely, because he was a topper.
so when he said, "I want to become a chef," you talk to my father. You can understand the kind of trauma of their parents, But finally, their parents had agreed, and now he has done his hotel management, then he became worked in the Taj hotels, and now in Navi Mumbai he is running his own shop, very big shop he is running that. So that was the example number 2. Number 3, my son, after his 10th examination, I believe, he got 85, 86. He has tried to various school. And one of the school, I won't take the name, there was a teacher, she said, he can't do anything in the life. It was the statement we both have heard from the teacher. And we thought, okay, let me work on it and I'll show you. Today, my son, he has done engineering from Narsimhanji, then he has done his post-graduation from US. He is working for one of the leading organizations in the world called LG. So these are the 3 examples we thought. Now let us spread this message to the entire parents. This book is for teacher and for their parents. Because the parents we underestimate, like I used to do with my son, And one day my son has complained to the tuition teacher, and tuition teacher called us that you are pushing so much, and he's telling that I don't want to go home. I want to run away from the home. That was the trigger point for all of us, both of us, to write a book.
And this is a lesson for youngsters also, to work on
Youngsters and parents also. Youngsters as well as the parents.
Is to allow their children to grow and to allow them and let them pursue their passion. And this is a lesson for the children that they should devote more of their time. It is very much required to score. I won't say that we are not, in any way we are not saying that the scoring is not important. It is important, studies are important, you should be well educated, but there should be knowledge and learning with it.
As a parent,
It should not just be mugging.
as a parent, and I'm telling you as a professional also, do not push your kids. I have recruited thousands of people in my career. I have never seen anybody's mark sheet. Believe me, I'm telling you honestly. I've never checked anybody's mark sheet. And this is my 6th job I'm doing. Nobody's checked my degree. So we are not against, but we try to push people to get 95. I believe if somebody is getting 70%, he's a bright student. The only thing is, you have to find option, allow him to work, allow him to do whatever you want to do, and he will do wonderful job, right? She is basically a coach and teacher. You can listen from her what kind of student she faces.
See, firstly I congratulate to Mr. Deepak Saxena and Saumya Saxena, who comes with a very, very good and different and unique thoughts and ideas with this book. Scoring is boring. This is really very, I read this book. This book is really amazing. And why scoring is boring? See, the scoring means comes with the comparison. Seriously, comes with the comparison. Most of the parents say, let's see this boy, he got 90%. Look at that girl, she got 96%. And the children of that parents comes in the stress. So better to say, please don't pressurize your children. Try to say them, please conquer your conceptual knowledge about your subject and you can say that कि knowledge के लिए जाओ, ठीक है, gain knowledge, because when you go for the knowledge, when you go for the concepts, your concepts should be very clear about your subjects, then score will automatically come.
So in the normal course, when we hire people because of their interview process. If somebody is speaking well, if his thought is clear, we are going to hire him. We are not going to hire with the subject marks. If somebody 90%, we are allowing to do, not at all. That is the reason we kept basic 60%. So that we see who is the best in the lot. We never choose people, 95%, 96%. So my request and my thought process to all of you, that you need to be intelligent. You should not run for the numbers. Yes, numbers are important, but do not go into the rat race of number, 90%, 95%. Because at this point of time, the education system is so, you will find everybody is 80%. Everybody.
सर फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल बहुत ही रिलेवेंट बुक है आज के टाइम में, जिस तरह का पीयर प्रेशर्स हैं बच्चों के ऊपर. थोड़ा सा हमारी ऑडियंस को बताइए किस तरह की बुक है और कहाँ से आपको इंस्पिरेशन मिला ये बुक लिखने के लिए, आप दोनों से जानना चाहूँगा.
एज वी टोल्ड यू, ये ट्रिगर पॉइंट तो हुआ था हमारे खुद के बच्चों के एजुकेशन सिस्टम को देखते हुए, जब उनके करियर चॉइसेस कर रहे थे हम. तो माई सन वांटेड टू बी डू इंजीनियरिंग, मैकेनिकल इंजीनियरिंग का उसको बहुत शौक है, उस लाइक ही इज़ आफ्टर कार्स. तो उसी के साथ के और बच्चों को जो देखा हमने कि एक बच्चा जो बिल्कुल आईआईटी टॉपर के उसमें आ सकता था, बट ही वांटेड टू बी अ शेफ. बिल्कुल उसका डाइवर्स वो था, जो पेरेंटल प्रेशर में ही वाज सो मच इन डिस्पेयर या फ्रस्ट्रेटेड था कि जिसकी वजह से हमें लगा कि शायद इट वॉज़ नॉट अ गुड थिंग टू प्रेशराइज आवर चिल्ड्रन. हम लोग खुद अपने बेटे के पीछे थे कि वो आईआईटी के लिए प्रैक्टिस करे, आईआईटी क्रैक करने की कोशिश करे, बट वी न्यू इन आवर ओन सेल्फ कि वो पॉसिबल नहीं है उसके साथ. बट वी वर कॉन्स्टेंटली पुटिंग प्रेशर ऑन हिम, जस्ट लाइक एनी अदर पेरेंट वुड डू. तो दिस वॉज समथिंग जो ट्रिगर करा इस बुक के लिए हमारे.
And being in the profession of, serving in HR, human resource, people keep coming for the jobs, right? And I realize that, the people who are creating wonder, they are not the high scorers. And the kind of pressure we get, as a parent, I understand how much pressure I have given to my child. I have seen in today's generation, the school people, they always tell that you need to score high. Our school is best. If you get admitted in our school, he'll get 90% mark. Plus our coaching centers, all tuition centers, they also pressurize children to get more and more marks. Plus the expectation of parents are also very high. But we do not understand our kid, because every kid is a different kind of kid, So that is the reason we thought that we need to educate this mass level. Education is not to score only high number. That is a one part of life. And this triggered us to teach students, teachers as well as parents also, that your child is unique. Please find out the best in him rather than pushing him for the score. So we are not against the score, never. But we always believe that if person is getting 70% mark, 75% marks, he is brilliant child. The only thing is,
it is not
you
that
need to identify the best quality of your child.
Yes.
Because you see, in India now,
there is not job restricted to engineers and doctors. There are a lot of fields
Lot
which are
of
coming.
avenues have come.
And money is, if you want to earn more money, you should have a talent. That is the reason you see a lot of singers, players, RJ, this, that. Now people are coming up. So we thought that this is a very important topic. Every year you see people are committing suicide. People are not getting right jobs. People are frustrated. They are doing a lot of repeated, 12th class repetition, 10th class repetition. They want to compete. So remove the comparison from their life. Teach them as a good human being and find out the ways and means for him, rather than chasing only one way and means for him. That is the trigger point we have written this book.
Thank you so much and all the best.
Thank you.